Okie dokie. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create the faces for our minifigures. To start, we're going to go to Inkscape.org, and this is another free program that you can get. If you feel so inclined, you can support them by donating, or you can actually shop and buy a bunch of other really cool tools that you can use to enhance your capabilities. Once we're here, we want to download the current version and then install it, and then we're ready to rock and roll. So when you open up Inkscape, this is what you're going to see if you get rid of the default thing that shows up. And the first thing that I do is typically toggle the snap off, because it can get really annoying to have this toggled on, because it'll force you to do things that you don't want to do. If you want things to snap together, you can put the snap on, but I usually like to have it off. The next thing that we need to do is import an image in. So take a picture of your face, or bring in a face from any person that you're trying to replicate. And for me, I'm going to take this one right here and just drag and drop it in. Click OK. And it's really huge, and so I'm going to zoom out, and I'm also rotated the wrong way. So selected on this, I'm going to go to Object, and I'm going to rotate myself here 90 degrees clockwise. So I've got my nice scared face on, surprised look or whatever. And what I want to do is turn this into a minifigure. Now the first thing that I always do is to grab a rectangle, because this is going to be the background and my skin color for the face, and I click and drag and drop. Right now my default color is white, which you can see here. What I want to do is be able to change this fill. The default fills are down here, and if I just double click on the fill, it brings up a menu over here that allows me to do all kinds of different changes and whatnot. What I want, though, is my particular skin tone, or as close to it as I can get. It just depends on how you take the picture. So I click on the eyedropper. I come over to a place where I think the skin is most representative of my skin, and I click that, and you notice that it changes to this sort of peachish color here. Now, if I'm not happy with that, and I don't think that's quite accurate, I can always adjust the bars over here and go, yeah, that's a little bit closer, I think, to the skin tone that I'm going for. And this is just going to be the background. Another thing I like to do is grab another little rectangle, put it down here in the corner for my hair. Just makes it a whole lot easier to do the same thing when I'm in Blender and I need to have the different color palettes available. So for this one, I'm going to click on the eyedropper and just select my hair color. Again, it might be a little bit off, so if I lighten this stuff up, I feel like I'm a little bit closer and more accurate to my hair color. So now let's get into the nitty-gritty. One of the hallmarks of a Lego minifigure is to have the rounded eyes for the most part. So in Lego Movie 2, you've got Rex Danger Vest that has the rectangular eyes, and you can do that for some characters. Right now, my eyes are really big and really round, and so I'm just going to click and drag a circle or ellipse over my eye. You notice it's the same color that my hair was, so I want to turn that black, and so I just press the black. I'm going to zoom in. And then I'm going to work on my eyebrow, because really all I'm going to do is take my eyeball and my eyebrow, and I'm going to copy and paste it over here and then flip it horizontally and leave it alone. So to draw the eyebrow and most of the mouthpieces, what we're going to do is come over here and grab the Bezier Curve tool. Find some point on the eyebrow that we want to start on. And if I click and I drag this around, you can see that there's a line coming out of it. What I do now is click, and as I drag, you can see a curve being created there. And what I want to do is kind of adjust this curve so that it follows the pattern of the eyebrow that I'm working on. So when I let go, it begins to bow that curve again. And so then I look for my next point, and then I click on that point to be able to come back, because I want a hard corner on that edge. So then I can just continue clicking around my eyebrow and dragging. And to finish it off, I just click the original point, and now you can see that there's an outline of my eyebrow. Now, if you didn't do this quite right or quite to your satisfaction, you can always adjust. So I'm going to zoom in and just show you this. You can use the point edit tool, and you can see all the points that I clicked along the way. And if I touch these points, I can adjust the handles so that I can change the curvature if need be. I can also grab the middle of this thing and I can drag it to a new location. I can also select multiple points. So I just shift click those points and I can add points in up here. So if I want to add in an extra point in between for some reason and modify that, I can do that. I can also remove points by selecting them and doing a removal. But I'm pretty happy with how this is right now. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Again, what I want to do here is create a fill and have it the same color as my eyebrow. And so I'm going to come over here to the fill, which it has none. I'm going to turn the fill on. Notice that it turned it black. I'm now going to grab the eyedropper tool and come over to my eyebrow, and now it's filled. Typically, I don't like to have an outline on my eyebrow, so I'm going to go over to stroke paint and I'm going to turn that off. Another way of making me look a little bit more surprised is to put a big white circle in the middle of this to indicate that my iris is wide open. So I'm going to drag another circle in the middle, give it some nice room around it, and then I'm going to click the white fill. Now all I do is select all of these things. So shift click, and then I'm going to go to edit, copy, edit, paste. And now it pastes a replica of what I just had. Now if I just go object, flip horizontal, it's going to flip in the horizontal direction, and I can click and drag that across to where my other eye and my other eyebrow are. Now you can see that this is a pretty good fit. Sometimes people have irregular face shapes and whatnot, and that's fine, and you can adjust these as you will. These line up pretty well for me, so I'm going to drop those right there. The next thing that I'm going to do is work on the mouth. So I'm going to zoom in on the mouth. And you can see that my tongue is visible here and bits of my teeth are visible here, and then the back of my mouth is fairly black. And we're going to start by doing the exact same thing. So I'm going to draw the shape of the mouth with a Bezier curve, and I'm going to start over here, clicking and dragging, getting that shape of the mouth. And again, it doesn't matter if you were completely accurate or not. We're going for a visual representation of something, so basically a caricature. And again, to close this off, I just click the last point, and now I've got the black outline. Now at the end, I'm going to fill this in black, and this is what it looks like. But right now I can't see my teeth and I can't see where my tongue are. So I'm going to click the invisible or transparent fill. And then I'm going to work on drawing the tongue and the teeth. Now the thing about the tongue and the teeth, because we're going to just do a bunch of cropping, is it doesn't matter where you start outside and what it looks like outside of the shape, because we're going to cut all that off anyway. So because my teeth start here, I'm going to start with my teeth. I'm just going to click and drag somewhere outside, just kind of follow the curve of my teeth. And then again, when I'm finished, I'm going to click and drag outside, click, and finish this off. Now I have a shape. I'm going to go ahead and fill that with an off-white. I'm going to get rid of my stroke paint because I don't have black lines around the outsides of my teeth. And now I'm going to do the other teeth. So I can see my other teeth here. Click outside, follow around the edges of my teeth, finish it off, fill with a white, kill the stroke paint, and now the teeth are done. So that I can treat the teeth the same way and together at the same level, I'm actually going to select both of them. So I'm going to shift click, and I'm going to turn this into a group, so object group, so that when I affect them, they both get affected together as if they're the same object. Now you can see my tongue going all the way up into the back of my mouth, but if you've seen Lego minifigures, the tongue, particularly when somebody's yelling, goes about halfway up the mouth. So again, we just want to create kind of a visual representation of that tongue. So again, back to the Bezier tool. I'm going to click somewhere outside of the mouth. And I'm just going to click and drag kind of where I feel that tongue would be most visible in a yelling mouth. And again, if I do it and I don't like it later, I can always come back and shift the points. Finish that off. Come down and find an appropriate tongue color. That's probably it. Maybe a little bit darker. I think I'll go with the slightly lighter one on this. Get rid of the stroke paint. And now we're ready to do some cropping. So to do that, I'm going to come over to the selection tool. I'm going to select the mouth that I didn't turn black before, and I'm going to go ahead and fill that with black so you can see it filling in black here. Now I'm going to replicate the shape of the mouth and use that as my cutting tool. So to do that, I just go up to Edit, Copy, Edit, but this time we're going to paste in place because we don't want it to move anywhere. Now what you see is that it doesn't look like anything happened. But basically what it did is because it was the bottom layer underneath the tongue and the teeth, it just put it on top and kept it under the tongue and the teeth. To be able to use this effectively, what we have to do is bring it to the top. So we go Object, Raise to the top. Now if I shift and click on the tongue, I can go to Object, Clip, and Set a Clip. And you'll see that that has now clipped out all of that excess, just like a pair of scissors. Now I need to do the exact same thing for the teeth, but my teeth are behind my tongue right now, so I want to go ahead and bring my teeth to the front. So I click on my teeth and I say Object, Raise to the top. Now they're in front of that tongue. So once again, to clip these, I select the mouth, Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste in place, Object, Raise to the top, select the teeth, Shift select the teeth, Object, Clip, Set. And now we can see the entire mouth. So the tongue, the teeth, and the mouth shape. And now this looks really, really, really freaky. So if I click and drag to select all of this stuff, what I can do now, I can click and drag it over top of the skin rectangle and let it go. And maybe I'll center this a little bit. So we want to make sure that we have plenty of margin so that we don't have problems matching up that face when we put all this together in Blender. Now, given the size of a Lego minifigure face, my mouth is probably a little bit too low. So I'm going to click and drag just to select the mouth, and I'm going to move it up until it looks a little bit more like the positioning on a Lego minifigure face. And this looks more dumbfounded, dumbstruck, as opposed to afraid, because I think again of that tongue position. So I'm going to do some of that tongue editing. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to do the edit point selector, and I'm going to drag these points down until that tongue is lower in the mouth. Maybe I'll put a little bit of a bump here in the middle of the tongue. And then I zoom out and check it. Click off of all that stuff. Now it looks a little bit more like I'm afraid as opposed to just dumbstruck. After this, typically what I'll do is create more rectangles for the shapes and colors that I'm going to use for clothing. So this would be my shirt. If it were black, I could change it to any other color. And then I would do a rectangle for my pants. And that pretty much covers it. When we're ready to export this so that we can use it as an actual image file, we want to highlight everything that we're going to export. So it would be, for me, a face, a shirt, and some pants. And then we're going to go to File, Export PNG, and you'll see another menu show up over here. You want to ensure that you're on selection. Sometimes it will get stuck on custom or drawing or something else, and it will not come out right. When it doesn't come out right, it's probably because you clicked one of these other things or somehow it accidentally switched it over without you knowing. Make sure that when you export that you are on selection so that it exports only what it is that you want. Then we just have to name it and locate it. So export as. I always like to put my stuff in the downloads folder and just name it something. Lego Yo Brixie Scared. Hit save. You can see it working. Now if I go over to my Finder and I look under downloads, Lego Yo Brixie Scared, I can see that I've got this file that I can now use in Blender. And that's it for this step.